Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the second day of Gerri. I hope everyone's doing well and ready for an awesome run by SableDragonRook. Coming up, Spyro the Dragon from the Reignited Trilogy. And if you haven't seen an 80 Dragons run before, it is quite a treat. For those of you that don't know, so on console, you need to have the disc version of this because they actually patched out making 80 Dragons possible. This is a funky little run, getting to see the best of Unreal Engine and what Toys for Bob has to offer. What's very exciting is we've already hit the bonus incentive for any percent run as soon as the 80 Dragon run is ended. Oh yeah, true. Don't forget, let me get my 2K in real quick. Let's get that 50th episode of Speedrun Insider. I know I personally have classes starting up again next week, so having something to listen to would be fantastic. Oh, there's my boy Reeds. So, well, Summer, welcome in. Normally Speed Docs does things like for Save the Children, stuff like that. This one is a spin-off event for friend of the show, Gerri, who started her own business, moved into a new place with her boyfriend, and unfortunately hard times have come by. Her boyfriend passed away, and so she's had to move out of the place she's living, and overall just come through hard times, so we're trying to give her a little boost. Yeah, 2020, 2021 haven't been the greatest for everybody, so someone getting hit extra down bad, hoping to help out the best we can. However, here at Speed Docs, there is also Speed Docathon, which we just had the 2021 version a few months ago, and that's actually how I got involved with the group here. And generally a good group. If you haven't seen Speed Docs on YouTube, also a fantastic program. I think they know. I would have to get a double check, but I'm like 90% sure that Gerri knows. More information and stuff can be found on the Discord and Twitter. It's not a secret. How are all you lovely people doing this morning, by the way? Oh yeah, it's so fun fact if you haven't really kept up with things Speed Docs. So a lot of the music being played today is made by Squidbird, he works with the Speed Docs team, and this is actually the music that they commission and put into the videos for the documentaries. And all of them, they're just so good. Squidbird doesn't miss. Coming up today, I know I'm personally excited for it, a little bit of a PlayStation block as well as some classics. We do have, starting off with Spyro the Dragon, the first one of the Reignited Trilogy, then Spyro 2 any percent, which I was actually supposed to run, but I've substituted for Dylan J. Fox, who is a no doubt better runner. And I'll still be doing commentary, so wonderful. Then we've got a little bit of Mario Party Superstars by CJ himself, followed by our Crash Block, my boys. Reeds and Solarium are going to kill it in a race. And Clock District is then going to run 1 any percent from the Insane Trilogy. It's not too often we see the HD versions really coming out in marathons, but hey, Crash HD, we just love our marathons together. And wow, Summer, thank you for the $42 donation. Wishing Gerri the best. That is awesome. I appreciate it so much. And if you haven't seen, I know our site has changed a little bit, but we are now incentives should work and stuff. So there's a lot of things to actually put that money towards, like for example today, and I'm still trying to get myself a little bit together, but we have a bid war making the players choose to play as Crash or Coco. And we have nothing yet towards the Ratchet and Clank Going Commando incentive, which is Fear's going to go for all the swag strats. And I've watched a few Ratchet and Clank runs myself. Swag strats are certainly something. That game is difficult. Currently, in Crash Bandicoot 4, we have $30 towards Coco and $0 towards Crash, as it should be. And in the Insane Trilogy, we have $50 towards Crash and $20 towards Coco. That's a surprise. Oh yeah, we can't get enough Sable. Well, we appreciate everything you do. You're doing great, you. Yeah, let me see those cozies. I should note that coming up after Spyro 1, we are having Spyro 2 run by our very own Dylan J. Fox, and we do have a bid war for choosing Spyro's color. Because in the Reignited Trilogy, they enabled old-fashioned cheat codes, so you get to actually change the appearance of Spyro. And we have the classic blue, green, pink, and purple. I personally want to see pink. Currently, classic has $5 towards it. But hey, we've got a whole run to go through, so that could change.
regarding creatures reacting to the recent shakes. Apparently, wild salad birds can sense when a land shake is about to happen, and they often react to it by climbing up trees or buildings and then just jumping off. Dr. Sesame Seeds thinks that this is due to the electrical current given off by the land shakes before they happen. However, I argue if that's the case, then why don't they jump out of trees during the crystal lightning storms? Anyways, that's current events for the day. We're now going to continue our lesson from yesterday.
The uneasiness slightly sparks inside Blue Jr. as he feels the land shake.
All right, and you guys know it is 12. That means it is time to get going. I am happy to have on SableDragonRook again. Yesterday she was awesome and ran the Pathless for us. Today she'll be running Spyro the Dragon from the Reignited Trilogy, and this is 80 Dragons. Transition. Good morning, Sable. Welcome to day 2. How are you doing today?
Good, how are you doing?
Oh, wonderful. I'm excited to see Spyro action again.
For sure. Okay, so it looks like everything's all set up.
Yep, it is your show. I think we are good to go whenever you are.
All right, awesome. Well, hello, everybody. My name is SableDragonRook. You can call me Sable. And I'm not going to hold us up on this title screen, partly because I want to get the run going, but partly because it's also just very loud. So as long as we are ready on time, timing is going to start as soon as I hit this select game button. So we're going to start in 3, 2, 1, go.
Good luck.
Thank you. Yeah, I realized literally like 4 minutes ago that I didn't set up Mort Cam. I fully intended to. But here we are, no Mort. So this is the 80 Dragons category of Reignited Trilogy. If you can't tell, obviously Reignited is not the first version of Spyro to ever exist, but it is a beautiful remaster? I guess it would be a remake, because they built it from the ground up. So it's not just a nice pretty skin over the old game, it's a brand new game. If you haven't tried it yet, I would highly recommend, because it feels fantastic to play. Not knocking the original Spyro, of course. Play both. But in this 80 dragons category, we are, as the name suggests, going after all 80 dragons in the game. So Nasty Nork, big bad guy, who we are actually not going to see in this category, turned all of the dragons to crystal, and they can't get out on their own. But somehow, I guess, touching my little toe to their platform saves them, because, you know, them's the lore. And so I'm going to go around and save all my friends, except for some of them who get themselves caught more than once. I don't know. They were particularly uncareful, I guess. Play all the Spyros. I'm gonna have to protest against play all the Spyros. All of those, what are they called? Spyro Darkest Night or whatever? Night of the Drag? I don't even know. See, I don't even know. Because they don't exist. I'm just making it up because they don't exist. We don't talk about those.
I'll be honest, everything past the original trilogy, I was like, what are these?
Yep. They had a little bit of spark.
I see what you did there.
Yeah, you got it. They had a little bit of spark going into like Year of the Dragon and stuff, and then it just kind of like a helium balloon that's kind of slowly fizzling out from the ceiling. They just kind of lost their spunk. But I do have to say, I think it was Dawn of the Dragon, the final one that they made, I actually really liked. So they brought
What'd
it
that
back.
come out for?
It came out... It must have been PlayStation 2, because I never had a PlayStation 3. But it was one of the ones where you could fly, like, whenever you wanted to. And it had, like, the deep lore, a whole, like, overarching Lord of the Rings epic story kind of thing going on. Yeah! I'm not gonna lie, sometimes I just go back and watch the 40 minutes of cutscenes from the game on YouTube.
I looked back somewhat recently at like the speedrun of one of the GBA games, because I have a very fond memory of it, but looking at it, I'm like, man, this game was probably terrible. But for some reason, it's like, it's Spyro, but Game Boy.
Yeah, I don't really remember the Game Boy ones. I think that I attempted them and then got like very frustrated that I couldn't see anything. But I think that they have a special place in a lot of people's hearts.
Very nice fairy proxy, by the way.
Thank you. So yeah, what we did there early on, I actually stood in midair to get over this wall at the beginning of the level. There's, for some reason, the fairy leaves behind a tiny little hitbox, and if we stand in the right place, we can either stand in the air or just straight up get yeeted into the sky. Either one is acceptable. One is obviously better than the other, but I kind of want to get yeeted, but we didn't. Shucks, I did it right. How dare I? So we're going through, we're just picking up these 80 dragons. So far, no real big problems. We're going to go through the return home portal in this level instead of exiting using the menus like I have been, because the boss, Toasty, is locked behind the requirement that you have to go through a return home portal once. And this just happens to be the easiest one, because there's a dragon right in front of it. The only other thing we really have to worry about is in each world there is a balloonist that's guarding a hot air balloon. Well, maybe guarding is a strong word. They're actually very nice. They're just kind of hanging out. But they won't let you take their hot air balloon until you do whatever it is that they ask. And they'll ask for example, in this world, 10 dragons. Or they'll ask you to get, like, 1,200 gems or something. And some of those we're going to abide by, but kind of the crux of this category is that it takes a long time to fulfill one of their requirements, which is 6,000 gems. That's what gets you into the boss world. That's slightly less than half of all the gems in the game. So it takes a long time to do that. And instead of doing that, we're gonna do this old fancy out-of-bounds trick where we go into a developer tool that just takes us straight to the end of the game. But we'll cover that when we get a little bit closer. For now, we're just making sure we've got all the dragons in this first home world. Here's Mr. Toasty. This dragon head will open up now because I fulfilled the requirement. Keep that dragon head in mind though, because we will be seeing them later. Or rather, We won't be seeing them when we should because we've glitched the game, and it'll be helpful to understand what should have been there. I'm talking so cocky as if I'm actually going to get this skip. We'll see if any of this happens. Yeah, no, I never owned a PS3. I didn't get to play anything past PlayStation 2 until I literally met my husband after college.
I feel like that's almost most people. Like, everybody kind of either didn't get a new thing or just 360 kids or
Yeah,
the thing.
for some reason, we had the PlayStation 1, we had the PlayStation 2, and then my parents just pivoted over to the 360. And that was just that. But hey, it started me on Assassin's Creed, so I'm not gonna complain about that. That 360 was my buddy.
Ready to go?
We still have a PS3, and it sounds like a rocket is launching every time we turn it on. I was so hoping for backwards compatibility in PlayStation 5 because I don't want to use that thing anymore.
I know, right? Same. I can't imagine they ever do it again, though.
No, probably not. I think they've dug themselves into a hole that's too deep at this point. Alright,
Actually,
so...
Oh, go ahead.
Thanks.
Yeah, sorry.
We're in this new world. We're going to be introduced to some new mechanics. Not quite in this level, but in the next level, we're going to see an egg thief for the first time. He has a little pink dragon egg, and technically, we could use this glitch that we're going to already use a couple times to get around the fact that one of the balloonists requires you to collect 5 dragon eggs. But we're not going to do that because the glitch is finicky. If you miss it, it does take a pretty decent amount of time. And the dragon eggs are basically in our way anyway. So, like, you could if you wanted to be, like, super swaggy, but we gotta rein in the swag a little bit. And now you were saying, Gaffy.
You know what? It's, I was just saying the PS3 stuff, like, I'd recently found mine because I'd put it in storage and stuff while I moved and whatnot. And I was so excited. I was like, oh, yay, look at all these PS3 games. But they've kind of ported almost anything over now that I was, like, really excited about. Like, the Jak and Daxters and stuff like that. Just because they get way more accessible than PS2 copy.
Right. I can't find my PS2, and I'm very sad about it. I was so sure that it was sitting on top of the Xbox 360, which we had on a bookshelf. And it's not there.
Oh, no.
I don't know where it went.
Conveniently, I found a new free PS2 because I found it on your bookshelf.
Oh, look at that. Spyro is being a little troll there. He didn't let me get that jump on the first try. How dare he not let me get that jump you're not supposed to make. So we skipped over that little... We used the new feature of the hover, which has been incorporated into this remaster, to get Spyro to flutter just enough to get up onto that ledge. And in that way, we don't have to do like half the level. We can just hop right to that final dragon. Alright, so here's our introduction to Egg Thieves. For some reason, and if you're familiar at all with the Spyro run, you've already seen me do it once at Nestor, the first dragon. When Spyro has downward momentum, the game, for whatever reason, lets you skip some things. So we're going to try to hit these thieves while we're falling in a downward direction. Because that will prevent them from playing their cutscene where they give you the egg after you've torched them. And it's not a big deal if we miss that. It takes, 2 or 3 seconds, but it's worth going for at least. So let's see. Hi, buddy. Poof. Ah, didn't quite get it. We'll have other opportunities. Woo.
What makes you like 80 dragons versus like a 120 or just any percent?
So I will never run 120 because I want to be able to play this game for fun. And if I know where every single thing is, I will never be able to do that. So
That's a good reason, actually.
yeah, so I won't run 120. But I just 80 Dragons is kind of more forgiving because in any percent we do have to worry about, you know, the balloonist asking for 1200 gems, the balloonist asking for 6000 gems. And if you mess up your gem count, you know, if you walk past a couple gems that you weren't supposed to, you literally can't progress. Whereas with 80 dragons, did I step on the dragon? Yes. Okay, move on. You know, it's in that way a lot simpler. And also I just like the glitch, the balloonist glitch that we're going to be doing in this world. It's one of my favorite parts of like any speedrun I've ever learned. Come here, you fool! There we go. We didn't get the cutscene that time. But that's why I like any percent as well, instead of any percent NBS, even though I run both, because any percent also uses that glitch. Which I suppose that I should start explaining, because we're getting to the end of this world. So, this balloonist is going to ask for 1200 gems to move to the next world. And later on, a balloonist is going to ask for 6000 gems in order to move to Nasty's world, which is the final world of the game. I haven't been collecting any gems, because I don't intend to fulfill those requirements. So outside of Peacekeeper's world, like beyond the boundaries of the map, is a developer's tool that serves as a balloon. And I'm assuming that that's there, you know, so that they can test the game and they don't want to have to collect 6000 gems every time they want to go to Nasty's world, right? So that dev balloon can go anywhere without doing any of the requirements. So I'm going to go out of bounds, hop in the balloon and tell it to take me to this world that costs 6000 gems to go to, so that I don't have to actually get those gems. In order to do that, it's important to understand that when you're in that balloon, you can't move. But you can move if the game thinks that you're talking to a fairy, which appears after you free a dragon. Because I guess that makes sense, right? Because why would you not be in control of Spyro when you talk to a fairy?
Sure.
So we're going to put the fairy's text box, when she's talking to us, into storage by gliding away from her and closing it at a certain time. And then we're going to open that text box again once we're in the balloon. And that'll give us the ability to move, because in other words, we're talking to the fairy in the balloon. We're going to go up in the balloon. Since we can move, we're going to charge out, and then we're going to try to hit that dev tool. It'll make a lot more sense once you actually see it, but we are going to do it here in probably 30 seconds. So step one, we got to get that fairy storage off of a dragon. We're going to use Magnus, because he happens to be pretty close to the portal we're going to come out of. For any percent, I will use Titan, which makes it a lot harder. Because of the ground in front of him, it makes it harder to glide away. But we'll run through it once we get there. And I will say, if you have a sensitivity to flashing lights, woo, maybe look away once we hop into that dev tool, because the screen will be flashing potentially quite a bit. It's always impossible to know until it's actually happening. Sometimes it flashes a lot, sometimes it barely flashes at all. I'll let you know when it's over. Okay, here we go. So we're going to come out, we're going to talk to Magnus, and that's going to make the fairy appear. So that's step number one. We got to take that fairy's text and store it in memory. Come here, Magnus. Magnus is also like one of my favorite dragons. He's like a big sumo wrestler dragon. Okay, so here's her text box. Now, no matter where I go on the entire map, you can see I'm over here, still talk to her. I've got that text box in storage. This balloonist is like, hey, you can't go anywhere, you haven't done anything. And I'm gonna be like, okay, well, but let me talk to this fairy while I'm in the balloon. So now I can move, and I can charge out of the balloon. We gotta land in that box, which we did. So this is the dev tool. This is the developer's balloon. And as you can see, it'll take me anywhere. I do need to be careful Hopefully that was acceptable. Oh, good. Flashing lights. We're coming in sideways, so this looks good. We told it to take me to both Artisans and Nasty's world, so it's flashing because it's trying to take me to both at once. So it's basically loading 2 worlds at the same time. So the first balloon...
It's always crazy to me how people find this sort of thing.
Right? I don't know how anybody ever discovered this. Like, what? The first balloon I asked to take me to Artisans, and it did. So now I'm going to quit out of the game, come back in, and then the second balloon is going to come through, the dev balloon, and take me to Nasty's world. Where nothing is going to be loaded, because I'm not supposed to be here.
Hey, didn't I already free history now?
Nasty's world now.
What's in there?
Just get a little twofer. It looks nice. Oh, hey, double Spyro?
Yep, this is literally why I like this category so much. This is so much fun.
Come back. You will challenge the Nork himself.
Okay, so why did that happen, right? Twilight Harbor here is supposed to be in one of those dragon mouths that we saw Toasty in, you know, and it's supposed to be closed. But we have 337 gems and we're supposed to have 6,000 at this point. So the game is not expecting me to be here. And so it doesn't load what it's supposed to because I'm not supposed to be here. So we're going into Twilight Harbor before it loads in the dragon head that would be stopping me from going in it. And those 2 dragons are there instead of just 1 because one of them only appears after you defeat the final boss, Nasty Nork. But since the game can't tell what it is that I'm doing, it's like, well, I guess. I don't know if you've beaten Nasty, so here, have the dragon. And by doing that, we don't have to beat Nasty at all. We get around his entire boss fight by making his dragon spawn. I also need to remember, because I almost forgot during D-Rest, we have to guidebook out of this, specifically out of this level, instead of using exit, because exit level will make you come out of the portal you came into, but guidebooking will take you to where the balloonist takes you. So now there's a dragon head. If I had just exited the level, I would have come out into that closed dragon head and gotten stuck. So we've skipped all the way to the end of the game. We're clearing out the dragons from here, and then we're going to go back to Peacekeepers, and we're going to do that same thing again to get around the 1200 gem requirement to go to Magic Crafters. So you get to see, we don't get to see the double dragons again, which is sad. But we get to see the balloonist skip, hopefully, a second time. The first one is the most important, so.
So doing this out of order, how much time do you think you save versus actually having to go through that gem requirement and whatnot?
So it used to be that it was just straight up run through the game, but also get the dragons. And I think it genuinely was like 15 minutes slower or something. I can't quite remember because it was right when the game first came out. But it was significant for sure. It wasn't just like, oh, you know, we're gonna save 2 minutes. And I kind of want there to be a glitchless category. Like, that would make me happy because you do need either the PC version or the 1.0 disc version in order to do this category. I would run a glitchless version where it's basically just like any percent, but with dragons.
Mm-hmm. As with anything, if enough people run it, typically they'll make a category for it.
Yeah. I might just start making it my own thing, you know? Because that's kind of what happened with Vortex. It was an unofficial thing before, and now it's kind of like a big deal.
Everybody loves Vortex.
Alright, so let's do this again. We're gonna grab fairy storage, hopefully. Well, not first try this time, but that's fine. We have as many tries as it takes.
Hi, Spyro. Hi, Spyro.
There we go.
I'm still up on Spyro.
Now we talk to the fairy. That lets us move in the balloon and out. This balloonist was going to ask for 1200 gems to go to Magic Crafters, which is why we are skipping him. Boop. Alright, we've made it once again. Now, as long as I don't soft lock the game, We're okay. Flashing lights warning once again. Oh, it didn't really flash this time. A little bit. So it's loading artisans and magic crafters at the same time. It's going to take me to artisans first, and then we'll quit out, come back in, and we'll be in magic crafters. Just like Nasty's World, stuff won't be spawned in. Thankfully the dragons are still there, but gems, enemies, all that will be gone temporarily. So while I finish up this glitch and head into the next level, why don't we hear some about some of the upcoming donation incentives and everything?
Well, so biggest thing right now, we did have a very nice $42 donation from Summer earlier while we were setting up. And we do have a bid war coming up for the next game, Spyro 2, where you do get to pick the color for Spyro. Right now the options are classic, blue, green, pink, and purple, because Toys for Bob put in a cool thing where at the main menu you can enter a cheat code to change his color. Right now classic is winning with $5, but I would love to see pink take it. We are also $11 away from a very aesthetic number. Get that 1111.
Do it. Okay, so heading into the first level of Magic Crafters, this world is all about cycles and dragon eggs. So we don't have to worry about any of the other balloonist requirements really, except for dragon eggs. The balloonist in this world is going to require 5 of them in order to take me to the next place. And again, we could just do this balloonist skip again in order to get around that, but the dragon eggs are kind of very much already in our way. So we're just going to pick them up as we go. The only other balloonist we have to worry about, since, remember, we already went to Nasty's World even when we weren't supposed to, is going to ask for, I believe it's 60 dragons, which obviously is very easy because we're getting them all. So that means we just run through, we get dragons as fast as possible. We do still have a couple little tricks to show off that are not the balloonist skip. I've apparently forgotten how to platform temporarily. Hey, I'm gonna blame it on my controller. Let me just air this out right now. I chose the wrong controller to start this run with because the other one...
What are you using?
Well, I have a blue one and I needed the black one because the blue one has a little bit of a dead zone on the joystick. And that's gonna make treetops and haunted towers very challenging. So we'll see. I have run it on this controller before. It's just, you know, maybe this was an intentional choice to be like, hey, every time I mess up, it's not my fault, so you can't blame me.
Starting off with the pre-Johns, I love it. Treetops is a beast.
I don't... Kids are smart. Like, smarter than you give them credit for, but I feel like Treetops was a little bit overkill. I remember my mom and I sitting together on the PlayStation 1 and just trying desperately to figure out how to even finish that level. Let alone get Jed, who's all the way out in the middle of nowhere.
I'm thinking I maybe just didn't. I don't remember how that would be possible for my brain. I struggle now.
Like, if you asked me right now, just solve this level as intended, I'm not sure I would be able to. So, cycles. One of the cool things about Reignited Trilogy is that the categories are timed on in-game time, which we can see in the guidebook. But not all things cause in-game time to pass. If you're paused during loading screens, all of that doesn't count as in-game time. And similarly, when a dragon is playing, in-game time doesn't pass. But the cycles in a level will continue. So a lot of times, if you have an unfavorable cycle and you know it, you can touch a dragon, let him play for a little while, and it'll fix everything in the background without actually spending any time waiting. And I should have done that in the previous level, but I didn't.
I had never actually thought about that.
Yeah, it can be helpful in a couple specific scenarios. mostly like the Alpine Ridge guy that's raising and lowering the wall. You can wait him out. Which I didn't, and then had to stand there and stare. But I'll use it later if I need to in, I believe it's Dark Passage, when the doggos get turned into the big red boys.
It's funny the little things you can take advantage of. I know PC, for example, some levels, for whatever reason, it has a longer like fly-in loop, and it doesn't remove that load for you. So people will guidebook like as they're entering a portal, so that way they can enter the level and quit out and skip that.
Right.
So they manipulate the load remover. Where this is like manipulating in-game time, which is so to each their own. We're all cheaters.
And you know, it's getting harder and harder to find the appropriate disc version to be able to do this run. Because you need, like I said, that copyright 2018 disc. Which, you know, they're not printing them anymore. So any ones that you buy now are gonna automatically come installed with 1.3 instead of 1.0. But you can always do this run on PC because you can just choose not to install the patches. And it actually looks a little bit different, which is cool. You still do the balloonist skip, but you do it in different circumstances and you do it differently, both of which are cool. It's kind of like gliding into a wall and then going out of bounds and walking around the invisible map and stuff, which is like equally fun. I would argue that's kind of more fun than fairy storage, to be honest.
And I did. I would love to see some pink for the bid war.
Alright, almost done with this world already. We just got our 5th dragon egg, so that balloonist is going to be no problem. This guy is the boss. Every world has one boss. The vast majority of the time, we're not even going to see the boss, because dragons serve as save points. So you get a save point before you confront the boss. We will, however, get to see him, because he's the 3-phase fight, in quotation marks. Because, you know, this is a Spyro game. This isn't...
It's good a fight you can do for a platformer like this.
Yeah, this isn't suddenly Dark Souls. We're just innocent little Spyro here, so this fight happens in 3 parts. Bam, there's part 1. So difficult. So we got him to move on, and here's his dragon, and that's all we need. So we're out of this world, we're heading into Beastmakers, like unironically the hardest world in Spyro. I don't think anybody would disagree that Beastmakers, and especially Misty Bog, are problems, no matter what category you're running.
Hey, Papa, would you like to go?
Would you agree? Because you run this, right, Gaffy?
I have yet to do 80 dragons. I've done a little bit of MBS.
Even in MBS, Beastmakers is like the worst,
But yeah, it's all hard. You make it look so easy, especially just general movement and stuff. The way you're going around the maps in unintended ways. And like, oh yeah, that looks free. But it is not free.
Yeah, there's lots of little things that you're not kind of supposed to do that you just do anyway. And Beastmakers is a world where we're going to take a lot of unintentional damage, probably. The enemies here have really big hitboxes, they chase you for a long time, and they're very fast. So, low-key throughout the entire run, I've been hitting fodder animals, which are these, you know, the little guys that you run into them and they pop out a butterfly for Sparks to eat. Because every 10th fodder will be an extra life. That extra life butterfly completely heals you, so even if Sparks is completely gone, you'll go all the way back up to yellow. And we try to plan that out so that we get that extra life here in Beastmakers somewhere, presumably when we've already taken a lot of damage and really need it. Hopefully it pops for us at a helpful time, or I just don't get hit. Either way, I would be happy with.
I'm realizing too that the levels only get worse the further you get into Beastmakers.
They do, for sure. Like, even Metalhead as the boss is so much worse than the others. But I didn't take a hit there in Terrace Village, which is a little bit unusual. The cycling for the electric floors is not usually that favorable, so we're off to a good start. I remember you, Bruno. Bruno, the dragon that always gets left behind, and then I wonder why I have 79 dragons at the end of the run.
This is me. I've forgotten Bruno at least 5 or 6 times in MBS runs. So I renamed my split to Remember Bruno.
I have Remember Zakomo split as well. Because you don't need him in NBS, but he's just completely off in the middle of nowhere in Dreamweavers. You don't even go that direction. And all the time, I'm heading on my way to Jacques, and then I'm like, oh, buddy, I'm sorry. So Misty here is the only level that we are going to exit before we have all the dragons. We're actually going to end on almost inarguably the worst room in the game. It has so many enemies. I am going to take hits. I might die. And that's just where the run ends, so that's going to be exciting. But that's for another time. That's a problem for future me. For now, Misty Bog is kind of a weird shape. So we're doing one half of it now and one half of it later.
Whoever designed these boars, they need a talking to. They are certainly an enemy in this game.
They sure are. Well, even the knife guys, like, I swear, they'll shank you from like a solid 30 feet away. They'll get you.
Now, if we've got a moment, we do have several donations coming in.
For sure.
So we did get $5 from Quill, who put his money towards the pink Spyro. Thank you so much. Says, doing it for me. Also, hi, Sable. Thanks for always putting on a good show. A huge $50 from CJ.
Whoa.
Let's get day 2 started with a big dono. And he put his towards Peach as the CPU character in Mario Party and Coco for Crash 4. Then we've also got $5 from Shu, who picked purple for Spyro 2. I see what you're doing, Shu.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, everybody. Y'all are wonderful. Not gonna lie though, CJ, that big donation, immediately in my brain I calculated how many pets that was gonna be and was like, oh no. And then remembered what game I was playing.
Do we get a pet the Sparks, or...?
I ain't petting Sparks. He never does his job. I miss the
He
super
counts
turd.
as an AI companion, right?
I suppose he does. Alright, come on, controller. Yep, that's what I expected. So, here's the part where I blame my controller. Because I have a dead zone on the left-hand side of the joystick, and I need to make this very tight turn.
Oh no!
So, we're gonna jump. There we go.
Just plug in your mouse. Easy.
I'm just gonna pretend that that was the way you were supposed to do that, and not that I just kinda forced that into working. Because in the end it worked, so what's the difference? But essentially what we did is skip this entire level. You're supposed to take this supercharge and just bounce, bounce, bounce from one supercharge to the next, all around all these trees, until you get enough momentum to get over there and free Jeb, whatever his name is. But instead, we just cut that corner. Sometimes you can tap Spyro's horns on that hut a little bit to help you turn it tighter. And you just go right from the beginning to the end of the puzzle. Also, I still have yellow sparks, and I don't understand. How did that happen? Oh, I died. That's why.
It was a death abuse. I saw what you were doing.
Yeah, it was totally 100% intentional. I'm manipulating the RNG for later. So once again, not even going to see this boss. The dragon is in front of him. But we're at 61 already. We're aiming for 80. We are almost there. And without having to do Nasty's world, we just have one world left. Haha, he tried to hit me with Narnars and he missed. This balloonist might require 50 dragons. I don't remember if he requires 50 or 60. We have it either way, but suddenly considering that 60 dragons is basically all that I have, I feel like he wouldn't ask for that much. Yeah, he just says so many, so we don't know. So on to Dreamweavers, the final world. Kind of, for the sake of this run. Oh, this game is super smooth. If y'all haven't tried it, you should totally give it a try. It feels great to play. And I know we're not really getting to look at any of the dragons, which is really sad, because they're actually all different. It used to be in the original that you had, what, like 8 or 9 dragon models, and then they would just be different colors. But now every single dragon is different. They all have different voice lines. I think there's maybe 2 that say thank you for releasing me instead of like the 20 that it was before. So they really put a lot of effort into it. It looks really good.
I think a lot of people give this game a decent amount of flack for not being the original, but there's certain aspects, like for one, it's very aesthetically pleasing.
It is.
Look how beautiful this is. But then also it controls like a modern game, and so it's almost a completely different game. But obviously level design is very similar. I highly recommend it, especially it's on sale all the time.
That's true.
Several years old. It's worth the pickup, even just for a casual playthrough.
Yeah, like it was genuinely fun to play. It wasn't just like a nostalgia bomb, it was actually like fun. And you can tell that they put a lot of effort into making it be the best that it could be. One of my regular viewers who I saw was here earlier, I'm not sure if he's still here now, once described it as like, this is a remake that has no right being as good as it is. Like they could have gotten away with doing so much less and it still would have been good. So it's really fantastic.
If only Activision would have let them give some more attention to the Crash remake, am I right?
I just got the new Crash for Christmas.
Oh, how's that been?
I have not tried it yet.
Oh.
So
I think everybody goes through this. Oh, go ahead.
Here's the part where I blame my controller again. Because, oh, is this gonna let me do it on the first try? Okay. We're just not even gonna talk about what just happened, because that, that should not have been that easy. What I did was made such a tight left turn that I was able to supercharge while going backwards on the supercharge. And that let me skip the entire level, basically. So we got this dragon that would have taken a lot more effort. That is all.
That looks really tight, too.
It's super tight.
Any dead zone? That sounds terrifying.
Yeah, I don't know why that just worked, because by all rights it shouldn't have. Even on a controller that's working just fine, that's a really, really hard turn to make. But I'm not gonna complain. I expected to be there for a minute or two. Until eventually one time the collision was like, nah, you didn't bonk, it's okay.
And hey, we've got a $5 dono from Ika who, congratulations, did it right this time. Also put their bid towards the green color. You guys are going to give me a heart attack. There's so many ties for this color now. And none of you, except for Quill, are picking pink.
I think pink is the only right answer. No, you know what? The only right answer is the one that still doesn't have anything donated to it.
Well, so they all do at this point.
Do they?
Green is winning with $10. Disgusting.
I was going to try to... Oh, I got munched. I was going to try to incite some more competition. So here's the dragon I was talking about before. I'm going to let this guy play a little bit to manipulate the cycle in the background so that they weren't the big old doggos. and we lost no in-game time for doing that. I was trying so hard to get that mushroom, and he totally juked me at the last moment. So we're almost there. This is, what, 70? Nope, 69. Nice.
Nice.
Oh, buddy. Sniping me from across the room. There's number 70, so 10 dragons to go. Remember, we don't have to go to Nasty's world at all because we've already glitched our way into there. And we don't have to fight Nasty Nork. That is unique to this category because Nasty doesn't actually have dragons associated with him. At least dragons that we can't get in another way. So by glitching ourselves into Nasty's world to begin with, we got his dragon because it spawned in when it wasn't supposed to. Which means there's no reason to fight him. So timing instead ends as soon as we hit that 80th dragon and show it in the guidebook.
What about Nasty Nork?
Ganasty, yeah, Ganasty Gnork just gets to chill in his little cave of inspiration. He has all of these lovely inspirational photos inside his lair if you like fully complete the game and go in there. And so I'd like to think that he's just kind of chilling and having a good time. He's like, well, I guess my master plan didn't work. I'll take up painting.
You know what? I like this ending. It could almost be the pacifist route. Well, yeah, maybe that's not a good name for it.
I mean, I guess he turned the rest of the gems into creatures, so it's not like you're actually harming any creatures when you complete this run. And you're not hurting Nasty. So maybe it truly is pacifist. Or maybe he's just sitting in his lair stewing the entire time that nothing that he ever wanted to accomplish succeeded. So I totally can make this jump, except that I can't. So it's a far enough distance and everything that on paper it's makeable, but they put an invisible wall there, so you do have to wait for those fairies. Unfortunately.
The Bob special.
Mm-hmm. Which is weird that they would put it there because there's a bunch of other places that seem like more obvious that you would try to jump to, and they just like didn't even care.
Looking at like all of the Nork Nexus.
Yeah.
It's insane.
Yeah. I'm so happy that on console we don't have Cove Skip.
Why? I love Cove Skip.
Cove
It's
Skip,
so fun.
it intimidates me. I say as I, you know, I'm glitching myself out of bounds and stuff, but... Cove Skip, we didn't do Cove Skip in this run because it's not on console, but you kind of wedge your way up a wall where you're not supposed to be able to keep walking, and you glide over the top of all of like the level assets and straight to the end. And so you skip all of Nork Cove on PC versions. And in the original too, right?
I think so, yeah, if I remember correctly.
Oh, I want to finish this run with less than 1,000 gems, but I don't think I'm going to. It literally does not matter, but it's just kind of a fun thing to to try to do.
I'm trying to imagine you now going out of your way to make sure you don't get gems.
I'm kind of thinking about it, but I'm only making it worse. Like
Even more challenge mode, get exactly 1,000 gems.
Oh man. Then that's just like any percent, but with more steps. And Jacques has so many gems in it too. No, I don't want these. Sparks, why are you doing your job now? You know
well,
that
hey, potentially better. $1,180 for 1,180 gems.
I can swing that.
Maybe we can make that an even 12?
Do it. I'll see how close I can get to that number.
Speaking of, we did get $10 from Quo, who He said this morning he woke up and chose violet, blue. We're going with blue for his color.
It's getting
also
spicy over there in that that bid war.
Oh yeah, I like it. We also got Crunchy Brown, the fan favorite. I can finally donate. Thank you, Nato Wengus. Keep up the good work, Sable, and keep being the gaffiest of taffies. Aww. He also picked pink. He does care.
Whoa, boy. I almost got wrecked. Okay, so we're heading back to Misty Bog. That's where the run is going to end. So we need to start to get ready on time. Hopefully I'm only missing 2 dragons. Okay. I don't like that I have blue sparks because we're ending, like I said before, on the hardest room in the game. Oh boy. So here's a save point at least, but timing will end when I pop open the menu here to show that I have 80 dragons, which we should. So get ready. Uh-oh. Help? Okay. And timing will end. Time. 2103. Hey.
GG.
Thanks. That's not actually that bad. Hey, 1065. I was close. I was close.
Pretty close.
So we did meet the incentive, right?
We did. We killed the incentive.
Okay, fantastic.
So what are we going to get for that?
We are going to get an any percent in addition to our 80 dragons, which means we finally get our vengeance upon Gnasty Gnorc because we do have to defeat him in that version. So I'm going to set that up for like 30 seconds.
No worries. That does feel awfully satisfying to actually get to end on a boss kill like that.
Yeah.
So I'm glad we reached that incentive.
Alright, well I am ready whenever you are.
Alright, let me give a quick rundown on our colors real quick. So blue, green, and pink are tied for $10, and then classic and purple have $5 for our next coming up run for Spyro 2.
We're good?
Let's just double check that we're good on timing. Yep, we're good on timing.
Alright.
So whenever you are ready.
Alright, let me give you a countdown. We're going to start in 3, 2, 1, go. Same as before. So, hi everybody. It's not like I've been here for an hour. This isn't any percent.
I'm having deja vu, deja vu.
Yeah, it's almost like we've seen this intro before. So any percent is actually fairly similar to 80 dragons. We're still going to do that balloonist skip. We're going to do it a little bit differently. We're going to do it off of Titan at the beginning of Peacekeepers, which makes it a lot harder because if you noticed before when we were getting fairy storage off of Magnus, in order to get fairy storage, in order to store that fairy's text box in memory so that we can talk to her in the balloon, we had to glide away from Magnus. And Magnus was on a hill. So that made it very easy to glide away from him because the ground was going down with us. Titan is on flat ground, which means that your glide has to be a lot more, perfect in order to get that fairy storage. So that'll be a bit more challenging. We also do basically only have one chance to get the balloonist skip. If we don't, I will probably reload a different save file. Because if for some reason we don't get it, then you kind of mess up the game basically and ruin your chances of being able to skip into Nasty's world. But I have a different save where we're already in Nasty's world, so we'll just go from there. But that's not going to happen because I'm a god gamer.
Absolutely. First try every time.
It was first try so far, and I'm afraid that I wasted my first tries on the other run. We'll see. But for right now, we're going through. I'm actually going to use this return home portal. We're going through and just getting 10 dragons, because that's all the balloonist requires in order for us to move to the next world. And any percent timing ends as soon as we torch Nasty for the second time. So we got to just get to Nasty as fast as possible. The gems, beyond the 10, the dragons, nothing matters. It's just getting to nasty. Bonk. I'm gonna do this proxy again. Maybe I'll get launched. So in a correct proxy, in like an ideal proxy, the fairy at this dragon will leave a small hitbox in the air and you just kind of stand there and it'll lift you up and you'll be standing in midair and then you can make the hop to the end of the level. In a less ideal proxy, you get rocketed up like 5 miles into the air and I really kind of want that to happen. It's very fun.
So I remember playing around with this, and we found that the higher you get launched is dependent on your FPS on PC.
Oh!
So you can go to the moon at 30 frames per second.
Oh, that's exciting. Hey, there we go. I was specifically trying to get like the actual yeet and not the good one. It's just kind of fun. So the only purpose of doing that was to get us over this big tall wall, so that we don't have to run the long way around the level, because all the dragons are kind of concentrated right here. And there's our 10 dragons, that's all we need. So we'll be able to leave Artisans, do the balloon skip, and then we'll be right on to Nasty. Unfortunately, we don't get to watch the 2 dragons in Nasty's world again. I mean, I guess we could, but they're not part of the run. Because they're some of my favorite things. 2 Spyros talking at the same time and all that.
I don't know if you caught it yesterday, but in a very similar matter, for Kingdom Hearts, we had an incentive for the Oathkeeper glitch, and it's the same thing where like it'll put Sora in a different spot with the Keyblade, just like swinging at Kairi as she's telling him this emotional story. This is a good incentive.
Yeah, I love things like that so much. This run just has a soft spot in my heart for how weird it gets. Okay, so here we go. Titan, this very first dragon. He is going to be a challenge to get this storage off of. Good news is you can try as many times as it takes. The only thing you lose is a little piece of your soul every time.
Hi, Spyro. Hi, Spyro.
Hey, we got it first try though. Let me just check. Okay. So you can see it says talk in the top right. That means I'm carrying the fairy's text box with me. And hi Spyro, hi Spyro. Now I can charge out of the balloon because I regained control of Spyro by talking to the fairy. And whew, okay, we made it. So this is the developer tool. This is going to take me right to Nasty's world without fulfilling the 6,000 gem requirement. Flashing lights warning. Hey, sideways. That's a good sign. We're flashing a little bit, not too much. So it's trying to load Artisans and Nasties at the same time. That's why it kind of freaks out. And the first balloonist, I said, hey, take me to Artisans. So that's what it's going to do now. It's playing the intro cutscene because, you know, why not? But once it's fulfilled, it's...
Thank you for releasing me, Spyro.
Yeah. Once it's fulfilled its take me to Artisans bit, it'll do the second part that I asked, which is Nasty Nork. And the reason that we do it this way is because I'm not supposed to be here. So again, Nasty was also hidden behind a dragon mouth that was closed. But since it didn't load right, it's open. I can get in without fulfilling any of the like in-world requirements, which would be to complete the other levels in that world. So we can get right to Nasty Nork. I don't actually know why the tactical death matters. Like, I don't know what it does to the game to suddenly make you go to Artisans. Yeah, like, I don't know why that works. So Nasty's up on a platform. Poof. And excuse you. That we need to unlock with a key. which these guys have. Oh, I didn't get him. I even wanted to say poof, and then I couldn't. I always say poof because people don't believe me when I say I hit the flame button and nothing happened. So we've unlocked Nasty, and timing is going to stop when I flame him for the second time. Got to be a little careful around that corner. He has a huge hitbox, and if you charge into it, you'll end up in the goop. Whatever purple goop he chooses to populate his lair with. Gatorade. Boop. Okay, there's number 1. So we should get ready on time. I am going to be careful in this room. Oh god. I say as I about yeet myself right into the lava.
Like to keep it interesting for us.
And time. So that was any percent. I took it pretty slow because like I wanted to yeet into the air and everything. It's just kind of fun to watch. So we're not going to really have a super competitive time. Should be 3 minutes something probably. And world record is like 250 something, I think.
Pretty solid run if you ask me.
Yeah, it's certainly a lot of fun. Let's just see real quick. Yeah, 3:33. Certainly a very decent time for completing the game. 6% of the game completed, and I probably could have brought that down to 4 if I was a little more careful about what gems I picked up. So, that was that. That was...
Nasty Gnork is toast.
That's right. You're toast, Nork. So that was any percent. That was 80 dragons, and thanks everybody for supporting and getting us that bonus incentive for the any percent. And thanks for having me. I hope y'all had fun. I'll let you chat some more about what's coming up.
Yeah, thank you for doing another run. As always, Sable, a fan favorite.
Well, shucks.
While we're finishing that up, Shu really wants this green color, so another $5 from Ika. And then an anonymous $10, GG and GL Gerri. They put their $10 towards Waluigi for the Mario Party Superstars all boards. I do believe we are still setting up for our next run, which if you thought Spyro 1 was broken, oh, get ready. There is nothing in order coming up in Spyro 2. They truly manipulate every wall, everything possible.